Yes, so here we go. Welcome everybody to this webinar about meaningful tourism, about the Meaningful Tourism Transformational Game Workshop, and about the new website of the Meaningful Tourism Center. My name is Professor Dr. Wolfgang Georg Alt. I'm the founder and the CEO of the Meaningful Tourism Center, and I'm very happy to say good morning to Europe and Africa and the Middle East, and good afternoon to everybody here in Asia, and good evening to the people in Australia and New Zealand and the Pacific Islands. I'm very happy to see that there's a lot of interest in our topic today, and we have participants from around the globe. And we also have speakers from different continents. And so what we will do is I will give you a brief introduction. What is the idea of meaningful tourism and what is a meaningful tourism game workshop? And after that, we will have 5 speakers. We will have James Young from Vietnam. We will have Jerry from Thailand, and her real Thai name she will tell you herself. We have Emmanuel Frimpong from Ghana. We have Ali Akak, Dr. Ali Akak from Oman. And last but not least, certainly Dr. Birgit Rauer from Australia. So, so with that, let me start my little presentation. But before that, of course, I have to say that thank you so much for the Institute of Tourism and Mr. Reza Soltani, who has been organizing all this and is helping us with all the technical things. And maybe also I should mention that some of you are looking at us on Zoom, but also there is also a live stream going on. And also this is recorded. So from tomorrow, if you go to the website of institutetourism.com, you will find a recording of this webinar. So if you want to look up something again, and also there will be the slides from the presentation I will do in a minute will be there for download. So no need to write anything down at the moment. And also for the speakers, we will put the CV of each speaker in the chat at the beginning. So if you wonder who is speaking to you and you want to have more details, you will find this in the chat. And also, please, if you have any questions, we will see that we have time to give at least a few answers to your questions. Put them in the chat, and then we will try to answer them as good as we can. If not in the webinar itself, then maybe if there are too many questions, we will answer some of them afterwards. So this is what I want to say preliminary. And well, maybe just to mention, I see Tatiana, we have also a participant from Ukraine. And so my very special warm-hearted greetings to you in the Ukraine for obvious reasons. Thank you so much that you take the time joining us. Okay, so with this, let us start the presentation. Just a second. Let's go to share. And then here we are. Okay. Good. So I hope you can see it. The Meaningful Tourism Center introduces a Meaningful Tourism Transformational Game Workshop and the new website. So now this is supposed to move. It is. Oops, it's moving like that. Okay. So what we will do is I will give you a brief introduction into the Meaningful Tourism paradigm. And then after that, we will hear from 5 certified Meaningful Tourism Transformational Game Workshop trainers. As I said, they're all from different countries and different continents, and they will tell you what the situation is in their country and how Meaningful Tourism hopefully can help to develop this. And then at the end, we will show you our new website, which we are officially opening today, meaningfultourismcenter.org. So what is Meaningful Tourism Center? So it's a non-profit organization officially based in London, and the headquarters are here in Kathmandu. That's where we are at the moment. So I can tell you the sun is shining, 22 degrees. And if you have never been to Nepal, please come and visit us. And so we have two topics. One is meaningful tourism as a practical tool for the holistic, sustainable tourism development. And the second is China's outbound tourism. So maybe some of you know me as a China guy because more than 20 years ago, I started COTRI, the China Outbound Tourism Research Institute, and I've been talking about China tourism for many years. So what are we doing? Obviously, we are providing research, training, consulting services for organizations and institutions. And so this is based on the work of many people, and including myself. And I'm old enough to have almost 5 years experience in the business. So just very briefly, so you can see I've been doing a lot of things with China, and in the last years, especially with sustainable development. And since last year, I decided to move to Kathmandu, and I'm living now here in Nepal. So the meaningful tourism paradigm defines that there are 6 main stakeholders in tourism and hospitality. And the basic idea is a very simple one. Everybody has to be happy about the development to have a good situation. So that is not a very unusual idea. But in tourism, unfortunately, this has not been always the case until now. And happiness means all the 6 stakeholders have to receive benefits, which are objective, which might be good jobs, money in the pocket, regional development, and so on. And satisfaction, which is of course subjective, so that people are happy with receiving visitors or happy with the job in the industry, and of course happy with the minimal effect, as small as possible effect on the environment. And we are living in a time of climate change, so we have to adapt and if possible mitigate the results. And so we all know we live in a fast changing world, and meaningful tourism is trying to have the next step to help to cover with this development. So 6 stakeholders. Who are the 6 stakeholders? Obviously, the first one are the visitors and the guests, so the travelers. The second, the host communities, and we all saw that the host communities have become more and more important, and in some places annoyed by too many tourists. We have the employees, and that includes tourism, hospitality, but also transportation, also retail, attractions. So as we all know, 10% of all the jobs in the world are connected to travel and tourism, and they have not been treated very well before the pandemic. As a result, many of them did not return to the industry when the pandemic was finally over. The companies giving the services, of course, they have to earn money so they can invest and grow. The governments on different levels, getting taxes and also having a tool for regional development. And last but certainly not least, the environment, both on a local level and on a global level, where we have the job to make tourism a force for good and not being seen as one of the polluters. So one important point about meaningful tourism is that this benefits and satisfaction have to be measured. So, and for that, you have normally what is KPIs, so key performance indicators, so that we are not talking about, like many politicians do, by 2060, this and this will happen, but we talk about real measurable benefits and levels of satisfaction, which are measured every 6 months or every year, and which have to improve. So the idea of meaningful tourism is not to give people a wagging finger to make them feel ashamed of their traveling, but to see the positive aspects of sustainable practices. And that can start with hotel construction in a sustainable way, the way it is financed, and in a positive way, so grounded on positive psychology, and the idea of well-being, and well-being being both physical and also mental, and so something for your body, your heart, and your soul. And so with an emphasis on bringing these benefits to individuals, to yourself, to other people, and certainly also to future generations. So meaningful tourism offers a tool to analyze and understand the situation, first of all, a tool to mitigate contradictions between stakeholders and align interests. So not going for compromises, but for aligning interests, and a whole to develop a holistic sustainable development strategy for companies, for regions, and a tool to develop smart KPIs. And I will talk a bit more later. What is a smart KPI? To monitor the progress, and a tool to compare destinations and companies in a Meaningful Tourism Index we published in 2023, and we will again publish this year, and a tool to support the Meaningful Tourism paradigm into academic education. So we have a special form for universities, for students. And last but not least, a tool to support the public tourism discourse so that we help with the KPIs to show transparently what are the positive effects of tourism and what is the satisfaction level and what is the perception of the different stakeholders. So where is this coming from? Obviously, it is a result of many developments. So first of all, we had at the end of the 2010s and 2019 big debates about over-tourism. Then during the pandemic, we saw for the first time that mobility was seen as a threat because, of course, the virus was spread by people flying around in airplanes. So that before mobility always was something good, and now it appears as a threat. And of course, the increasingly dramatic results of climate change. We are now every day in the news, we see horrible things happening already, and all the scientists say more horrible things will come. And for us in the tourism industry, that means a lot of business models will just don't work anymore. So we see in many lower lying areas the end of skiing, in places where it gets simply too hot, the end of beach holiday. So we see a development that tourism will have to move more than before indoors, and probably it also will get more expensive. So we will have less international leisure tourism in the future. So another source for this idea is, of course, that the switch of the image of tourism. So we used to be a provider of joy, relaxation, entertainment, even peace. And in the last years, the debate has changed, and now we are supposed to be the creators of unnecessary pollution. And people say, oh, how do you dare to fly around the world just for your own private pleasure? And for the staff, we see that many people don't want to work in the industry anymore. So all over the world, there's a lack of people working in tourism and hospitality. Also, currently the numbers of students enrolling for tourism courses has been going down. So tourism is not so sexy anymore. We have to see to change that again. And also we see that many governments, many people also in the industry have been saying, oh, we have to have tourism in a new way, but now it's all back to big arrival numbers as a main KPI, which certainly does not make sense for a sustainable development. And partial solutions are proliferating. So the idea is nice to have electric vehicles. You don't have pollution anymore, but it doesn't help you that cities are still built around these metal boxes, which are standing around 22 or 23 hours a day anyway. So, or introducing tourism taxes, which makes it just more expensive to travel and therefore kicking out the people with less money from the experience, which is not a very democratic way to do that. So how was it developed in the last 5 years? So in 2021, so in the second year of the pandemic, I established the Meaningful Tourism Center. And the following year, we started to do the Meaningful Tourism Award, so to show best practice examples. And we did this first in Singapore at the ITB Asia with the support of the Berlin Tourism Board. And then we did it in Doha at the Qatar Travel Market. And last year we did it here in Kathmandu at the Himalayan Travel Mart. And this year probably we will do this again here. And also I published some little text about meaningful tourism in some of the handbooks and encyclopedias. And we did the first trial putting this into practice for the Tourism Ministry of Albania. And also in 2023, we published the Meaningful Tourism Index, where we looked at 88 countries and used 72 criteria to measure their meaningful tourism readiness and give them a ranking. And then last year, we established the Meaningful Tourism Center Limited in the UK as a non-profit organization, and we moved the headquarters to Kathmandu. And at the very end of last year, in the room we are in right now, you can see behind me the book. So that used to be the library of GATE, the Global Academy for Tourism Education. We started the first of the Meaningful Tourism Transformational Game workshops. A second one was done with the help of PATA. I'm thankful for that in the early January in Bangkok. So the key point is, and maybe looking most especially on the last paragraph, is so to adopt meaningful tourism as a strategy is not a nice to have thing. It's not because you're a nice person or a nice company to do that. For most destinations and services, this is a necessity because the old business models are threatened by climate change and by other developments. And if you have forgotten what you learned in your university classes about creative destruction, so take out your Schumpeter again, or you can look it up online. And like, the good news is the key theory of creative destruction is published on only 5 pages in one chapter of Mr. Schumpeter's book. And so the basic idea is we have to embrace change. We have to be happy to say goodbye to the old and embrace the new, more sustainable, more environmental friendly activities. Otherwise, well, we all know what will happen to mankind. So this is about meaningful tourism in a nutshell. And of course, we are happy to provide much more information about that. And one tool to do that are the Meaningful Tourism Transformational Game workshops. So this is something where within a day for companies and organizations, and within 2 days for students, we are trying to bring across this way of thinking, this way of acting, not by boring presentations, not by slides like, well, this one at the moment. I hope it's not too boring, but by having role plays, by having the participants really taking over the roles of one of the 6 stakeholders or somebody within that. So somebody becoming a small souvenir shop owner, and somebody becoming a local farmer, and somebody becoming a Chinese tourist, whatever. And also based on the creation of KPIs for the specific situation, so that it's also clear what action should happen and how that result and the success of these actions should be measured. So the idea is that this is a creative method which engages people more than just sitting and listening. And it's hopefully an enjoyable way to grasp the sustainable development strategies for everybody involved. So, and this is based on the idea that, of course, today, everybody probably has something like this in the pocket. So a lot of the factual information is easily available, not only with Google, but now with ChatGPT or with Gemini and services like that. So you don't need a presenter. Don't need a professor like me to tell you this kind of things. What you still need is to understand the connections, the interconnectedness of things, and you have to have practical experiences. And this role play is a way where you can, in a condensed way, also step out of your normal shoes and step into the shoes of somebody else and thinking in another way how for somebody else from one of the other stakeholders the development and the tourism situation now and in the future might be. So I can show you quickly how this is offered. So it can be a one-day workshop or a two-day workshop. There should be at least 6 participants for the 6 stakeholders. The best would be to have up to 18 people, so 3 different roles for each stakeholder group. But of course, it can also be more people if required. You need a venue where these people can fit in and maybe some space where they can meet for their group work discussions. If necessary or if wished for, I can also join in online. So we have, and you will meet 5 of them in a minute, very capable certified trainers on the ground. So this is a offline thing. This is not online. But of course, if wished for, I can also join online if that makes sense. And participants will receive a certification at the end, and we have our new website. And if they do not disagree to that, they will also be listed as certified participants on the website. So what we do is in the morning, we have an introduction, something similar to what we are just talking about now. And then the roles will be assigned, and so it might then so happen that the older gentleman gets the role of the younger lady or the other way around. And then the stakeholder groups have to define what is our interest. So somebody running a souvenir shop will not mind that there are lots of tourists coming because everybody wants to buy a Coca-Cola and a fridge magnet. Maybe a 5-star hotel general manager will be more in favor of more restrictions because they are only interested in affluent visitors if they're a 5-star, and so on. And if there's additional data needed, they can use smartphones and other tools we just discussed to get more information. And then they will present their findings, and then we will see are there any contradictions, and probably there will be. And by the way, the photos you see, this is from the workshops we did. This one in the participants from Bangkok. And then in the afternoon, the alignment discussions should take place, and hopefully there is a final solution found how all the different interests can be put in the same direction. And then the last part will then be to say, okay, let's develop KPIs, let's develop ways to define what should be measured, what is important, and then let's do this KPIs, and then at the end, surprise, surprise, there will be a group photo. For the 2-day workshop, this is then for universities. I don't want to go into detail. It's basically the same, but as this will be for students who don't know the product so good, and maybe it will be also even talking about the place, not where the university is, but some other place, they will have the need to have more time to find out information. And again, they're supposed to do this with their own means, like smartphones and computers and so on. So, okay, I think we can skip this. What are the learning objectives? So, of course, understanding the meaningful tourism paradigm, having experience in engaging in role play, developing solutions in cooperation with other people, and then to learn how to measure the impact. And for this, as I said, briefly have a look at what are key performance indicators. So key performance indicators should be SMART, so which means specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So And of course, they should be important so that you can see on the slide. So if how many snacks you have in your car is really not that important, but if you have enough fuel in your car or not, if you want to reach somewhere, that is important. Or now, hopefully, your battery is loaded enough. So these goals, of course, have to be important. And so there's a example I took from a website. So if you are a healthcare facility and you say, we want to enhance patients' experience, everyone will agree and say, yes, yes, yes. But what does it mean? So if you use the SMART framework, then you will have something like a specific idea. So it's saying, increase the patient satisfaction score by 25%, focusing on outpatient services and based on surveys which are done over the next year. So if you do something like this, then it is specific. You are saying it's about the satisfaction and it's about outpatients. It is measurable. The feedback survey score is something you can clearly use. It's achievable. And that, of course, will have be discussed before. Is increasement of 25%, is this too ambitious or not ambitious enough? So it has to be just right, according to the experience you have before. It has to be relevant. And of course, the patient's experience is important for a healthcare facility. And the last one is time bound. So it says, okay, within 1 year. So it also has a clear timeline, and you will include maybe quarterly checkpoints, so to see where you are going to. So that, and what are the outcomes for the participants? So you can see they get a nice certificate. They hopefully understand meaningful tourism much better, and they have learned something about problem solving and critical thinking. And they understand that different stakeholders have different interests, and this is not just a personal thing, but it is, of course, according to what kind of business they are running or how they are involved in tourism. Maybe also as locals, for instance, or as the environment, aka non-governmental organizations or other organizations speaking on behalf of the trees which cannot speak for themselves. Learning how to craft mutual beneficial solutions that are actionable and scalable, and experience in stakeholder alignment and development of measurable, practical, positive outcomes. And at the end, of course, they get a certificate so they can show everybody that they know about meaningful tourism. In many cases, well, it will not be the participants paying, but the companies or organizations will pay. So what's in for them? So, and again, this photo is from Bangkok, and I think the guy on the left side of the photo in the red shirt, Alex Reiner, he's also with us today. Thank you, Reiner, for your support in Bangkok. So the outcome for the companies or organizations is that they can initiate a reflection. So you can take a step back and think about, okay, what are we doing? And how do we have to change that because circumstances are changing? What are the necessary updates of our product, our activities, our branding? It is also enabling the staff and the members of the company or the organization to achieve a deeper understanding. What are the objective interests of different stakeholders? So it is not just about that this guy is nice and this guy is not nice, but that they have objective interests. And also it is important to provide a creative and non-hierarchical environment, because in this role play, it might be that the CEO participating is given the job of a low-level person, and one of the interns is the tourism minister of the country in the role play. So that it's a non-hierarchical environment, which should help to develop a new holistic, sustainable strategy based on measurable benefits and satisfactions of all stakeholders. So this is always the focus of the whole discussion, and develop smart KPIs. Of course, in the training, this can only be the first step, but we are all our trainers and we ourselves here are happy then to support the further development of a strategy and of KPIs in more detail as a result of the first steps in the workshop. So we have already started to certify our trainers. So you can see here, this is a list of those who are certified by now. And I'm happy to say that we have another 6 or 7 persons already in the pipeline. And we will do another train the trainer session and ending with certification in the coming weeks. And also some of them you can meet at ITB Berlin, for instance, and 5 of them you will meet in a few minutes here in this webinar. So one word which probably some people will now think sounds nice. How much does it cost? And so this you can see is as an overview. Basically, a one-day workshop is $1,500, which means if you charge like $100 participation fee, you can do this without cost for yourself. Depends on what is the situation of the organization or the company doing this. And on top, this is the travel cost. But as the trainers are normally in the country where the training takes place, so these costs are not very high. And of course, you can also extend this to a longer workshop, more intensive, and that it doesn't cost much money. And certification is for sure included, and you don't have to pay extra for that. Yes. So this is all I wanted to show you as a short introduction. So of course, happy to hear from you in the chat or using WhatsApp or using our new email address from our new website, and which we will officially open at the end of this. And of course, also we are, if you happen to be in Kathmandu, come and visit us. We are at the GATE Global Academy of Tourism and Hospitality Education. So that's all from me. So if there are any immediate questions, I think we can open the floor for a few minutes. Let's see how we are with time. Yeah. So that should be okay. So anybody wants to ask an immediate question, then please unmute yourself and do so.
Professor, I have a question from Bangkok.
Yeah, Imtiaz, hi.
How are you?
Thanks. I'm happy to see you. Thank you for taking the time.
Always a pleasure. Thank you very much for a very engrossing and interesting presentation. I was just wondering if you could shed a little bit more light on your comment about the students losing interest in tourism. You said it's no longer sexy. What is the reason for that? And you mentioned we need to bring that back. Could you perhaps, do you have some ideas as to how that is possible?
Yeah, thank you very much for this very important question. So actually, there was a conference in Zhuhai organized by the Sun Yat-sen University in December. I was there, and there were deans of tourism departments and vice presidents of universities from all over the world, many also from North America, and they were all saying the same thing, that because of the pandemic, 2 things happened. One, that many young people and also their parents saw that tourism jobs are not so secure as they had thought, and that the industry is very vulnerable, and that they thought, oh, better do something else where you're not so much depending on climate change and pandemics and stuff like that. That is one thing. And the other thing is also that the image of tourism has been changing from a positive image that we are the nice guys and we bring jobs and fun and entertainment, with this flight shaming discussion that people are now saying, oh, you should only travel in your region, not transnational, and that it is it's you have to be ashamed of doing that. And I saw a survey that in Europe, 60% of the Europeans say they feel somewhat ashamed. They're still flying to Spain for the holidays, but they feel a bit bad about it. And so some of them then try to buy off their bad ideas about compensation. They pay some money for the CO2 to some organization to offsetting their footprint and stuff like that. So, but this is, I think, something where we have been, as an industry, not careful enough, and we took this for granted. And I wrote a little post on LinkedIn a few weeks ago saying, are we going the way of the tobacco industry? So cigarettes, if you look at old black and white Hollywood movies, Humphrey Bogart always having a cigarette. Cigarettes were cool. And we were told nicotine helps you to concentrate, to work harder, so intellectually. So that was something, and also it was manly. And so everybody 15 years old was saying, oh, I'm smoking my first cigarette, so now I'm an adult. And now, of course, today, this is poison. And in many places, it's forbidden to smoke. We have this health warnings on the packages. Some countries have started to say we are phasing out smoking completely in our country. So certainly nobody is saying anything nice anymore about the tobacco industry and about cigarettes. And they tried then to have this electric or electronic cigarettes, vaping, but this is also now banned in many places. So the idea to use some technology to stay alive seems also not to work. And so I don't think that tourism industry is similar to the tobacco industry, of course, but that can be used as a warning that if you're not careful to show we are part of the solution, we are not part of the problem, then that can happen to you. And of course, politicians, if they see they can get votes by making the life difficult for tourism, by putting taxes on us or other kinds of restrictions, then they will do that. And that's why I think the tourism has become less sexy also as an occupation, and also for students to start this programs. So sorry, that was a rather long answer, but I think this is a important part of why meaningful tourism is necessary for the tourism industry to get back on the side of the good guys, when we unfortunately now have been pushed to the side of the bad guys.
Thank you very much indeed. I'll be in touch with you on the personal level to take this issue up further. Thank you very much indeed.
Very good. Thank you so much. Okay, one more question we have time for.
Wolfgang?
Yes.
Here is an information in the chat room. It belongs to the former question of Imtiaz. And in addition to these points, workers in tourism are often undervalued and underpaid for a difficult, intensive job. This is also a point additional to Imtiaz's questions. It is from Viola Luis.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Burkhard. It's very nice to see you, I think, after quite some years. So thank you so much. Yeah, no, this is an important point. I mean, this is something, one of the lessons we learned, that before the pandemic, we were all, some people saying, oh, over-tourism is bad. We have to take better care of the host communities and their interests, and the local culture and their environment has to be saved. But nobody was, or very few people were speaking about how the situation is for the people working in the industry. And of course, bad pay, unpaid overtime, and no real career passes, because in many cases, seasonal jobs, because you only would be employed for half a year. And for that, of course, you would never have a career pass in front of you. So that was something which was taken for granted. And as a result, during the pandemic, a lot of people were laid off or left by themselves. And they found another job where they were working Monday, Friday, 9 to 5, sitting down on a desk, nobody shouting at them, no overtime. So they didn't come back when we said, oh, tourism is starting again. And I talked to many people, and I think most of you do have the same experience, that say, oh, the customers are back, the guests are back, but we don't have, at the restaurant, we don't have the chefs. For the hotel, we don't have the cleaning woman. So many hotels can only open 70% of their rooms. Many restaurants can only open either for lunch or for dinner because they don't have enough people working in the kitchen. And this is something where we obviously did not a very good job before, and where now that is also something where people are saying, oh, in tourism industry, you have to work very hard and you don't get much money for that, which is not true, because if you stay in the industry, it is easier to move up and get a better and a more interesting and better paid job than if you work in many other areas. But this is a message, of course, we have to bring across. And that's only it is working if you tell people, yes, you can have a clear career path. If you we train you, we give you further education, so you can see if you do this and this and this, in 5 years, you will be in our top management. And this is also connected, of course, to racism, so that in many here in Asia, of course, the hotel managers are still from Canada or Switzerland or Australia and not local people. And so that is another point, so to empower women, to empower local people. This is also part of the package. I see that Yogita Negi, you raised your hand. So short question, and I will try a short answer. Yogita, please.
Yeah, so I believe that sustainability is became the basic need of the hour, and people we are looking for skilled people, and when we add some value to them and give them educate them about the importance of tourism, our culture, and they also have job opportunity with that, that would definitely encourage them to do so, I guess so.
Yes, no, that is a very important point. And well, you're talking to an educator, so obviously I agree with you that education is important. And yes, but this education has to be for all involved. It is, I think sometimes people are saying, oh, we are the travelers, we are the good guys, and these over there are the bloody tourists, and they do the bad things. That doesn't help you. The planet doesn't care who is polluting. So therefore it is an educational process for everybody, as you correctly said. And of course you have to really to tell people, what are my benefits? Why should I be satisfied with the situation? That has to be clear, and that is where the idea of measurement is coming back in. So there's a saying, you can only manage what you can measure. And so that is why we pay so much attention to that. Thank you for that question. So with that, I will stop talking, and I will hand over to James Young, sitting in Vietnam, and he will tell us a bit about the situation there and how meaningful tourism he thinks can help the development in Vietnam. James, over to you.
Good afternoon, good morning. I hope you can, or good evening for those of you in Australia and beyond. I hope you can hear me okay. And it's a great pleasure. As you probably guessed, I am not Vietnamese, but I have been involved in Vietnam for the last 11 years. And there is a saying that you will always leave a part of your heart in Vietnam. And that's very much the case for me. And I've worked with large organizations here, with Intercontinental Hotels Group. I've worked with private families here, and I now have my own business here as well. So it's very enlightening and rewarding to be asked to take part in today's webinar, and to be a certified trainer now on the workshop. Why is this important? Well, I fell into tourism or hospitality, I'm a hotelier at heart, by accident. And several of you have mentioned, that we take on jobs in tourism, perhaps as a path to going somewhere else. That's certainly what happened with me. And I ended up staying. And now, 30 plus years later, I enjoy giving back to an industry that has really made me and given me so many rich experiences. And I've been fortunate enough to work in 9 different countries across Europe, the Middle East, Southeast Asia, and Australasia, all because of our wonderful industry. So tourism has the power to change lives, but we've lost the narrative, exactly as Dr. Wolfgang said. Why is it that we have such an image problem with tourism? And I think it very much starts with education. And here in Vietnam, and I believe there's no one else Vietnamese on the call, which is good because I'm just about to mangle something in Vietnamese and hopefully no one will notice. But we have the famous monk, Thich Nhat Hanh, some of you may know, who's wonderful. I'll put his name in the chat in a minute. And he looks very much at well-being. And I know some of my fellow speakers will talk more about that a little later. But, you know, a couple of quotes from him. He wrote, "Happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions." And that's very important for us because we can sit here as tourism professionals and wait for someone else to do something, or we can start to win back control of the narrative. And here in Vietnam, I think it starts very much with education. And the Vietnamese are very keen on self-development, and every bookshop you go to here will have piles of books on self-development in Vietnamese and English, which is great. And that's why this game, I think, will be such an important thing here, because people love to learn. They really value education. And the other thing that I think we've also perhaps lost in the pandemic is understanding different stakeholders and understanding different points of view. And sadly, you know, I don't want to get into the realm of politics, but I think that's something that's very much missing in the world at the moment. So anything we can do where we are teaching people about stakeholder alignment and helping people to understand that someone may have a different point of view, but it doesn't mean you need to hate them or bully them or anything like that. It's about finding a common ground. And as Wolfgang put it, a mutually beneficial solution. In Vietnam, one of the challenges we face, you know, from a visitor point of view, and I'm just looking at the 6 groups, we are perceived as having a lack of unique experiences. I know Kun Jerry may talk a little bit more about her experience here, but that's perhaps because people are not looking at this from the point of view of all stakeholders. So again, having a game where we can really look at that and say, okay, if everyone builds exactly the same development, what good is that, both from a sustainability point of view and from a tourism experience point of view? Very much local communities. I think this is very, very important. You know, I had an ex-owner here in Vietnam who always said to me, please, those of you who've been to Vietnam will understand this. He said, just remember, Vietnam is not District 1 of Saigon. And this is very, very important, because when you get out into communities and understand that the uneven distribution of benefits across the country in terms of tourism, and that's no criticism of anyone, it is simply a fact of life, unfortunately. So again, having a stakeholder explain that and understand that will be very important. And thank you, Viola, for bringing up that point on working conditions. I would add, I was working in Australia recently. In Australia, we moved from a recruitment problem to a retention problem, in that we were attracting people back into the industry, but they weren't staying. They were, you know, perhaps doing 2 or 3 weeks, realizing that this was hard work, and you know, also customer behavior in places like Australia and elsewhere had also declined, and that's another factor we need to be aware of. So really, the more we can do to highlight the importance of retention of tourism employees is something that I see as absolutely critical going forward. Because in Vietnam, we have people who want to learn, who want to do things, but if we don't keep them in the business, then we're going to have serious problems that we've experienced in more developed markets already. Education, education, education. I lecture at university here, and I can see, you know, the desire to learn and take the best things from elsewhere in the world. That's very important. So, but there is also a lack of on-the-job experience. So we need to do more on that here. And again, using meaningful tourism as a base, and particularly this game, will help with that. And of course, we move on to sustainability. How can we not? And yeah, one of the big issues here is waste management, and that I could talk about many things, but I could talk about many things in Australia, Europe, and everywhere else. But I just pick on waste management simply because of the development of tourism that has perhaps been haphazard around the world. And again, I think as tourists, we can go and stay at a lovely resort, but we don't necessarily see the actions of how that, you know, our stay impacts on the local environment. So again, it's a question of education. I go back, and I hope I'm doing okay for time here. I go back to the importance of skills development here in Vietnam. As I say, you know, this is absolutely critical. What we don't want to be as an industry, and Wolfgang mentioned the tobacco industry, we don't want to be the tobacco industry that poisons us, for want of a better term, but then also tries to prove it's good by giving lots of money and doing lots of charitable things. That's not a sustainable solution from a tourism point of view, in my view, and I hope most of you as well. So we need to be looking for much more long-term solutions. That brings me on to KPIs, and I'll probably try and wrap up a little bit after that. But KPIs are very important. I've come from a business background, and KPIs, thank you, Wolfgang, for your explanation of SMART goals. They're crucial to making a business go forward. But one of the key challenges we face in business nowadays is that those KPIs are almost inevitably geared towards financial returns rather than looking at a bigger picture. And I think, again, this is a question of educating people that a financial return may help you for 3 to 6 months, but it is not a long-term sustainable way to build a business, to build sustainability, to build a destination. So any KPI needs to be focused on the longer term and has to take a whole balanced scorecard approach, which was one of the original points, that it was a balanced scorecard, not a financial tick list. So that's something I try and impress here in Vietnam, and it's something I really want to try and put across in the game. So those are my thoughts. There is much more, but you've probably heard enough from me, and I know there are many more, much more able people ready to talk. I would just like to say it is wonderful, and what makes me love this business is just seeing the number of different nationalities and people on this call. And that's what I love about tourism, and that's what makes it great. And if I may, and please excuse me, I just want to say a big hello to Tetiana and Victoria from Ukraine, purely because your country needs all the support. I don't want to get political, but my son is working in Germany and his girlfriend is from Ukraine, so I have a very close personal interest in that. And also, of course, Hannah from Bethlehem. So let us hope that we can all go and visit both these countries and play the game at one point. So, Wolfgang, Reza, I hope I can talk some more, or you can tell me to shut up.
No, I think it's very interesting to listen to you, but I'm afraid time is limited, and while obviously those in Vietnam have an opportunity to talk much more with you in the games, and also you already mentioned that Jerry, I will ask next to speak, also has a lot of experience in Vietnam, so maybe at 1 or 2 points she can also add to that. So thank you very much, and of course I think we all join your good wishes for the Ukraine and for Palestine. So thank you very much, James. And so it's over to you, Jerry.
Hello, everyone, and nice to see everyone here with us today. So, like I said, that I actually been in the hospitality industry in Thailand, Vietnam, and I have spent almost 18 years in Vietnam, working and living in Vietnam. And I had the privilege of my last assignment in Ha Long Bay. So today I'm going to talk about Ha Long Bay. I believe everyone knows Ha Long Bay. It's very famous. It's beautiful. It has been received international recognition from UNESCO World Heritage, New Seven Wonder of the World of Beauty, and then Beautiful Bay of the World. But lately, after 24 years of all recognition, definitely the business pick up. More business, more construction, more boat, more overnight boat. I worked before with one of the biggest cruise company in Ha Long Bay. We own almost 15 overnight boats. Yeah, talking about that. So numbers right now still about 200 overnight boats in Ha Long Bay that you can sleep and stay on the boat maximum 3 nights. It's a license from the authority. If you want to extend more, you have to go back to the pier and renew again to come back. They try to control, but the number is just uncontrollable. So very lucky that my company, the owner, have a very nice vision regarding sustainability. So we are the only cruise company in Ha Long Bay that participating in all activity in sustainability. We've been working with NGO, we've been working with many organizations, and we do activity. Actually, he did it on private investment. So we clean, we pick up the garbage, we recycle the thing, no plastic on board. All the plastic are taken out on the kitchen on land. We have preparation kitchen, and we only use the really container that lasts long time. So no plastic, very minimum. We avoid it. We use plastic box. We don't throw the plastic box. No plastic bag. Everything is done. And we also start doing refill bottle. We stop using the plastic bottle on the boat. We are the first cruise company that started that project. Refill from the pier, lounge, until on the boat. All things is done. So we have water on every floor, and guests can refill their own bottle. We keep a bottle in every cabin. So this is how it works. And then apart from that, I mean, this is very private. I can see that there's a lot of opportunity. I used to talk to one organization, ICUNP or something, the lady that we have planned when they work there, that we're going to join with them, to give them, sponsor them one day, one boat cruise, to let the volunteer come and pick up the garbage from the sea, in order that they can study, the expert can study about the sea, because they did that with us 4 years ago before COVID. We agree already on the 2019, but the COVID comes, so we sponsor about $5,000 for one cruise for everything, and lunch as well. Okay? But unfortunately, the COVID came, the project has been stopped and postponed. I don't know what happened right now, because I left the company already. I've been there for 4 years. I left in 2022. So I think this is a great, and it's really opened my eyes sitting there and start talking to NGO. I said, why only my company? Why not the others? They said they have initiative to talk to many 200 companies You know, let's say 100. Don't make it too many. 100 company that have overnight cruise in Halong to join together. You know, the more and the less you pay, right? To join activity, and it's not compulsory. You have to do this or that. It's very much how much you can do, but take part in this thing. Everybody refused, and I was surprised. One big major company also, next door also refused, which actually, like I said, that's why I have passion in this kind of thing. One Dr. Wolfgang talking about sustainability development. So I think this is very important. This is a must. We got complaint from client cruising with us with the garbage floating, and we can't control it. And still, I just read the news, the comment. 6 days ago, the garbage still floating, plastic. Even the business coming back, I shared with my team there in Halong. This is how business, you know, how business, the Vietnamese, we call Emma. I speak a little bit of Vietnamese. And he said that, oh, business is coming back. It's better, but not yet about before COVID, but it's getting a lot better. So this is how education is important. How long, I think nobody really go and talk, because in Vietnam, like James said, they have their own way of managing their country. If you're going to one destination control everything. They have a government body there. They have their own people. You don't have to go to, like in Thailand, we have Tourism Authority of Thailand, right? So you can go there and ask for help. In Vietnam, it's your own baby, your own people. That's the different way of thinking. Then they have different structure. Even the north and the south, you have to talk to the area. You cannot come. What's happening in the north, you cannot come to the south. You have to keep it in the north. That's the way thing is. And talking back on this, it's pretty sad. Halong is beautiful, I'm telling you. I cruise after the government allowed us to cruise on the first cruise after COVID. Oh my God, it's super nice. You don't see garbage anymore. Because the boat stopped, you know. It's gorgeous. You see the seagull come to the boat and flying, you know. It's very beautiful places too, I'll be honest with you. And back again to the staff. Regarding the staff, we confront a lot of problem after COVID. People move out. We don't have staff anymore. Supervisor level, rank and file level. Oh my God, this is hard. People fighting to pay salary to get the staff. And I'm telling you, they're not trained as well. Not easy on the staff. We already have problem. I think every cruise company, even they have problem, because when you work on the cruise, any cruise, you have to sleep on the cruise. You lost your own personal life already. You must love it already. And now with the COVID, they all go other way. I lost about 50% of my supervisor level, cruise manager, assistant cruise manager, chef de partie, all the kitchen, all like gone. And the head people, the restaurant manager, I'm losing many things. And then I think now it's getting better after a year. It's very hard, very hard. But how long, if they don't do anything, 10, 20 years, I don't know. It's getting worse. And the garbage coming back, the feedback still negative. 6 days ago, can you imagine the same comments on the review? You can check. Garbage everywhere, don't come. That's why Halong losing a lot of quality clients.
Yeah.
Okay, they just receive, and before they receive so many Chinese, and you know what I mean, right? I'm not talking. Okay, and they don't understand, and the staff also, and the owner also don't care. So it's very much education, like James said. It's really a must. Yeah, and for all. And when education come, I think when the stakeholder, like owners of the company especially, and people understand more, they'll take more action. It will come to all, even the staff and everything. And in Halong, there's so many opportunities for CBT.
Yeah.
You know, for community, like in Baya, we cruise to one village called Viet Hai, VIET, Space HAI, very famous. Beautiful local authentic Vietnamese fisherman village with only 2 rows. of people living. And everybody on the village, they are fishermen, real fishermen. And during the daytime, you don't see the man, only women, because the men all go fishing. See, so this is beautiful village. I'm happy they still can keep their village authentic, even they receive
Yes.
some tourists, And my company bought the land, one quite big piece of land, and that land always flooded. So the owner agreed to put the soil in, and now the land is plantation free, complimentary for all the villages.
Very good.
On for the condition of no chemical. So they use I just about in to ask them. I went there often. I love Vietnam village. I myself cruise a lot. I love it. I love so much. So I asked them in Vietnamese, we call chị ơi, in Vietnamese is sister, We have to talk like that in Vietnam. They comment to that. And they asked them, I said that what do you use to protect the insect, prevent the insect to come to your plant? Because when they have it, they sell to the market. It's their money for the family. No, I use chili water. This is lovely, the old lady, because I went around to talk to the people that actually growing all the plantations. And this is another extra money. They have a small school, and sometimes the guests like to visit. We also bring visit. This is a place I love so much. I'm telling you, really nice. I think this is one of the example. People are there and waiting to be educated, waiting to receive good things. And I think it's very much important that they need correct education that guide them to the correct way and understand how their role is so important, not only to community, for themselves. If you don't do this right now, no more Halong Bay in 20 years. That's it for me. It's enough. Mr. Buka, too short. It's too long.
Yes. Okay.
I'm done.
Okay, thank you so much. I think that's a very important point you made, that if you do too much of the mass tourism, in the end you lose the quality tourism, and in the end you lose the mass tourism as well. So thank you very much. We are running a bit behind time, but still I think it was very interesting to listening to you. So now let's without further ado, let's go on to Africa, to Ghana, and Emmanuel, are you there?
Yes, Prof, I'm here.
So please tell us about Ghana so try not to be too long, but of course we all want to know more about this. How can meaningful tourism help Ghana?
Well, thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are located. My name is Emmanuel Frimpong. I'm a tourism consultant and president of Africa Tourism Research Network. So I'll be focusing on Africa, as already has been mentioned. And let me say hi to Ambassador Abigail from Nigeria, who has joined us, and also my good friend from Africa Tourism Board, Buthard. I've seen you made a comment. Thank you for seeing you. This is the first time I'm seeing you. So thank you. Well, so Meaningful Tourism Transformation Game Workshop, how relevant it is to Africa. So I'll be looking at it from 4 points of view: the why, the who, the what, and then the where. So the why. Why is it relevant to Africa? It is relevant to Africa because we've all observed how over-tourism is taking place in most European countries and even in Asia. So if you look at the rate at which African countries are developing, most of these international organizations, international chain hotels are gradually moving into Africa. So if Africa doesn't start looking at meaningful tourism transformation, or more or less sustainable tourism, we will in no time start experiencing what Europe is experiencing, that is over-tourism. So our culture, our history, our language, and even the way we do things will be wiped off if we don't start looking at over-tourism and more or less meaningful tourism. We will not be able to talk about what we have as a continent, our festivals, because as tourists come into Africa, they also come with their culture. So they more or less adulterate our culture that we have. So we have to look at how do we sustain our culture by using meaningful tourism. And then the who should be involved? I think you mentioned, Professor Wolfgang, you mentioned 6 individuals that are supposed to be involved, or 6 stakeholders. All these 6 stakeholders are supposed to be taken care of: the visitors, the host community, the tourist employee, the service providers, the government, and the local government, and those academia is also supposed to be involved in. So those are the people that we're supposed to take meaningful tourism to, and to help them to understand what it really means, the fact that it is connected to sustainable tourism, which is so important to Africa. And then the next thing that we have to look at is what has to be done. And what has to be done, I'll go back to what my earlier 2 speakers have mentioned already: education, education, education. We cannot do it without education. We need to educate young people right from their early ages. We need to educate the youth. Africa has the youngest youth population in the world. So if there is anything that we have to do, we need to focus on the youth, educate them. And of course, the adults, we also need to educate them because they provide for their children. So if they can understand what meaningful tourism is all about, what sustainable tourism is all about, then in all their dealings, whatever they are doing, they will have it at the back of their mind that tourism must be meaningful. People must benefit from tourism, but we can benefit from tourism without destroying our environment. So we need to look at how we involve all these people, the young ones, the youth, and then the adult. And then the last point that I will make is where should meaningful tourism take place? I would say it has to take place everywhere. So the government should have a budget for meaningful tourism. So ministries, agencies under the ministry should have meaningful tourism as a part of their budget, where when they have meetings, every meeting, they have to mention meaningful tourism. They have to talk about it. They have to look at how do we play our part. And then also our educational system should also look at how they incorporate meaningful tourism into their teaching and learning. So academia should have a program. I don't know if it has to be a course or a program, or a means where they can infuse meaningful tourism into how they teach. If we are able to do this, 4 things that I've mentioned, I think Africa should be in a better position as we invite tourists to come into the country. We've seen the benefits of tourism, especially after the COVID. We've seen it, and most African countries now inviting people to come, tourists to come. But the problem that we are not paying attention to, as tourists are coming, we are going to experience over-tourism. And the solution to over-tourism is meaningful tourism transformation game workshop, which we are introducing here. So I thank you all for the opportunity, and I look forward to engaging the game. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. That was a very powerful and very concise and clear statement. And yeah, I mean, this is the beginning of a journey. And as you said, of course, we will need the support of governments. We will need the support of international organizations. And I can tell you, fortunately, already we are in contact with a number of them, and we will soon be able to make this public that we are getting support from some important organizations. And Emmanuel, I'm looking forward to meet you in a few weeks in Berlin at ITB. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And with this, let's go on to Oman. We also, I'm happy will be in a few weeks at a conference which is organized by Dr. Ali Akak. So please, Ali, tell us something about what is happening in Oman, and also, again, what meaningful tourism does mean for this region. Ali, please.
Thank you, Professor. And as I said, good morning, good afternoon, good evening for most of you. You people come from a different region of the world. Okay, no need to introduce myself. Already Dr. Professor introduced me, and already they shared my profile through Dr. Sultani, and you have all the information about me on the LinkedIn, etc. So I'm glad to be here and talk about my country, Oman, as I promised. Tourism destination in the GCC, which is in the Gulf. I don't know how many of you been to the Gulf or been to Oman. I think most of you already heard about Oman, but they don't know about Oman exactly. What is Oman? Most of the people they talk about the GCC now. It's first thing that comes their mind. They're Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, but Oman, it's a hidden gem. As we said here, Oman has many potentials and it's a beautiful country. We have two things. Tourism has become one of the pillars for developing the country. It's economic activity. And one of the sectors or the industry the government currently focus on to support. As you know, Oman, like other GCC countries, is frontier. They count on oil and gas. So the Omani government, they want to change that. I mean, that thing now, they reduce the count on the GCC, I mean, on the oil and gas, and focus on more other sectors, like one of them, which is tourism. Oman is a country full richness or full of culture, heritage, and nature. Usually we say that Oman has three in one. Those who are seeking adventures, the mountains, Oman is the best place. They're looking for the silver sands and you want to enjoy a nice view, swimming in the ocean. Oman is, we have more than 3,000 kilometers, the coastline. If you enjoy the desert, we have the empty quarter. You can do the camping, and usually every year we receive a good number of tourists coming from Europe. They are coming from October till the end of April. They have directly coming from Europe to all different, like coming to my area or my region in the south, or come to the Muscat. Oman accessibility is very, can get to Oman easily either through Emirates or Doha by airlines, or from Muscat, the airport. The population of Oman is too small compared to most of the countries, the regions. Oman population is just 5.5, including expats. So the Omanis, nearly 3 million. We are really nice people. We are friendly. Those been to Oman, they understand when we say friendly. We also, Oman is rich about its culture, and once it was an empire that's covered most like a part of Africa and India, and also the Arabian region as well. Now the GDP, I mean the contribution of the tourism sector is not that as expected. It's just 2.5, nearly 2.5, and according to Oman, they have a vision which is called Oman Vision 2040. Yeah, like other, like Saudi Arabia, they have Vision 2030. Oman has a 25 years strategy. They want to develop the tourism sectors, and the the contribution should jump from 2.5 to 10% in 2040, and also expecting more than 10 million tourists coming to Oman every year, and also they're also to provide no less than 500,000 jobs. Most of the Omanis, regarding still we are working in our country, the infrastructure. We have a good roads, and also it's a clean country. We focus on the sustainability, and what can I say? Well, I mean other stuff. I mean. It can be seasonality here in Oman, that it's too hot in summer in the north, but in the south it's cooler. It's raining in the south. That's become the south where I come from. I mean, my region, from June to September, it's raining and everything turns to be green. If you search on Google it, if you Google it, talking about Salalah, for example, you will see things will pop up, the green, the green scenery about the mountains and how, and I can see it, Oman, it's compared with others, it might take time to compete with Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia, as I usually call them, the sleeping giant, is now taking everything, but we are trying to have everything. We try not to speed up that fast. then we lose our identity. We are trying to everything to be balanced. We are trying to save our culture and also the nature that we are. That's exactly the thing that we try to preserve, not to be destroyed. We are thinking when it comes to the building hotels, for examples, or when there's a new project, we are the first to come in their mind sustainability and how we can keep the Omani identity. So we'll see if someone never been to Oman or someone has been to Oman, or those are visiting Oman, maybe see that most of the Omanis focus on their dress and not try to be more westernized, of course. And regarding education and tourism, there are 3-4 institutions. They are providing programs. For example, one of them, my university, we have a department in tourism and hospitality. There is also a college called Oman Tourism College. There is also another institution in hospitality. It's called the National Hospital Institute, and above all that one, we have SQU, which is Oman Sultan Qaboos University, where they have the tourism. And as Professor Wolfgang mentioned in the beginning, we are preparing, I'm organizing a conference coming in 10 days, in 12 days, you can say, and it's focused on tourism and hospitality. Why we're organizing that one? It's aligned with the Oman Vision 2040. As a university, we think that it's a part of our duty to focus on knowledge that we need to talk about our country, also to share the experience, the insight. We invited good experts, people around the world from Professor Wolfgang, one of them. He will join us soon. And we have people from Spain, from China, from Saudi Arabia, from Qatar, even from Omanis. They have also an expert. All of them, they will be at the same table talking about tourism and hospitality, how we can develop this country based on their experience they're going to share with them. Of course, the conference, it's international and it's for 3 days. Anyone is nearby and is planning to come to the GCC, please come to Salalah. It's free of charge. Everyone is welcome to come. You can, in the end, you know about the Omani hospitality, and you come very close. I don't want to say much about Oman because everything is now on, you can Google it or you can use even the AI, but I'm happy to answer any question regarding Oman. I'm here. So I'd like to make everything shorter because I know you've been for 1 hour and some of you may be in rush. So I tried to make it shorter introduction about Oman.
Okay.
And thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you so much. I think, yes, I have never been to Oman before, so I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm sure from what I know from Ali and from other sources that they try very hard to avoid some of the mistakes other people have been making. And so hopefully Meaning for Tourism can play a part in that. So with this, thank you so much, Ali. We come to the last speaker, Dr. Birgit Trauer, based in Australia. And so, we are already running a bit behind time, but still, of course, we are all looking forward to hear what you have to say about Australia, and maybe also use the opportunity to give a bit of a wrap up of what we have been saying. And after that, we will just briefly show you the new website. We are very proud of that. We have finished, and then we come to a conclusion. And just let me say, I've been reading through the chat comments, and there are so many interesting contacts and interesting information. So thank you so much for everybody also who has been using the chat function. And with some of the questions we couldn't answer in the webinar, we will certainly come back individually to you. So with this, Birgit, it's up to this beautiful place that we can see behind you. So you're the last but not least speaker. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Wolfgang, to invite me tonight to speak here and share my thoughts, and also to be part of this new project of yours. It's quite exciting. Now, we've heard a lot of comments, obviously, already by the previous speakers, and the perspectives, all very, very enlightening and touching on all sorts of agendas, because it is a complex issue and meaningful tourism is multi-layered and complex. So thank you for that. Now, how do I fit in? Obviously, you said I'm Australian and I am Australian citizen and I live in Australia. But as many people know, I'm originally German and I'm a nomad, and I probably live again around the world like I have in the past, whether that is through education or consultancy or whatever. So that's just my background. As Dr. Ali said too, the profile is online. Now, everybody's spoken about their destination, and you might highlight or want me to talk about tourism in Australia. I don't really want to go into that because, again, you can find everything that is really relevant for tonight online, can't you? That is through marketing material and also academic material. So I won't go into any of those details. Now, I've noticed that people, and noticed actually that people talking about over tourism. So, and with that notion, I've been thinking a lot what I've been involved in studying, which is of course over tourism. People might think in Australia we don't have over tourism, but we do actually, Wolfgang. Even though we're a big country, we have places where we also suffer from over tourism, and that is an agenda that seems to be something that consultancies are involved in, that we educate in, that we discuss on radio and so forth. And I think the meaningful tourism game comes in very beautifully for that, because it has a lot of potentials to bring stakeholders together. And let me just take a bit of a philosophical approach to this. Firstly, again, as I said, I won't go into details here with over tourism or what's happening in Australia, but if anybody is interested, there's a forthcoming series of discussions initiated by Susan Kavanagh with Diane Dredge and Anna Pollack, along with various other speakers who will actually be looking at rethinking tourism along the Great Ocean Road. If people don't know that, that is actually a major, most popular tourism destination not far from Melbourne. And I believe that particular discussion series starts at the end of February, around about the 24th or something. So please see if you can tune into that one. I would highly recommend that one. Well, as an educator and consultant, allow me to again take a philosophical yet practical approach. Education comes in all the time. I couldn't agree more. Education is highly important. How we go about education, of course, is a question. In the past, education has come through formal ways of delivery, and it's associated with university, with education institutions. But travel is supposed to be educational, cathartic, transformative. Now, this is where the beauty of travel and tourism still resides. And that's why we're probably here all together looking at what can we do and how can we be involved in promoting the benefits, the beauty of tourism, if we stick at tourism as a business rather than travel as this demand side, looking at the supply side. So I believe that we are all here really together to, urgently rethinking and reimagining tourism. I think we are no exception, none of us. I believe that we need to look at tourism through different lenses, and that's what's not been happening. And being a social psychologist, very much involved in relationship development and the importance of relationships in our daily lives, tourism is about relationships at micro level, at macro level, whether it's local stakeholders and a tourist destination, or we're talking politics. And we won't go into that one. Relationships and politics are quite sensitive. I believe that we need to look at a relational lens through a relation, and because particularly we are living in a very individualistically oriented society, and research is showing that more and more people are feeling isolated, they're feeling lonely, they don't know what to do, and they all get attracted to travel because that's where they feel connected with people. Isn't that what tourism is all about? So meaningful tourism is about that. How can we create meaningful tourism? It is to engage all the stakeholders, and that's what your tool, it does do. We bring together various stakeholders, including the travelers, including the operators, all the micro level right to the macro level, who whatever positions people may have on the platform that are called tourism. I don't regard tourism as an industry. I regard tourism as a network of stakeholders, and each one with their own needs and values that drives their needs at the present time, whatever that may be. And that's where we need any kind of tool to bring people together around a table, no matter who they are, what they do, what position they might hold in life or in tourism specifically, and give them all a voice. In the past, it's been always the loud voices, those with status and so forth within the hierarchy of the system that get to voice their opinions and perspectives. Those are quiet voices that stand behind. The locals, the residents, not to mention nature, have not been given a voice. This is what we need a meaningful tourism game or tool for, to bring them all together and highlight that we need to refocus on relationships and not on individualistic notions. I believe that we need to look beyond carrying capacity. We need to look beyond limits of acceptable change. We need to look at carrying capacity. That's what's lacking in our society. That's what's lacking certainly in tourism. That's what we need to promote. And it's actually the reason why I wrote and published my book in 2020, The Way of the Peaceful Traveller, Dare to Care and Connect, to bring that all about, to use travel and tourism to highlight, not just to travellers, to tourism people, industry people, to look at tourism differently, to take a bit of responsibility, not just feel entitled to be given a right to use destinations for that purpose, to economically drive their agenda and make money. Sorry, again, the economic KPIs were mentioned, and I have obviously a little thing about those sort of things, KPIs. I believe we need to really look to engage. That's what your tool does, to engage, to listen, to communicate, to be creative, collaborative, to cooperate. I believe we need to co-create a new kind of relational culture, a new relational tourism culture. At the moment, everything is driven by individualism. And that's the problem in our with tourism, the way I see it. Now, again, I want to keep it short. I, being a social psychologist, and I deal with relationships even on a personal level when I do counselling. We need to use your tool, and I think it comes in very handy for that, for everybody to recognise their specific stance in the dynamics of the relationship of tourism development and management. And that's what we need to bring up into consciousness, everybody's role within that, and with everybody along the spectrum that you have within the circle of stakeholders, for everybody to feel seen, heard, and valued. People mentioned people don't feel valued working in the tourism industry. Definitely, that's the case. Social service, anything with service, people pay for something. They have expectations, and my research also showed that clearly. Then all of a sudden the attitudes change. I have a right to expect something. Who are you? It becomes a very enlightened, self-indulgent kind of attitude. Touristhood comes to mind with Jafari Jafari. So to finish off, I just want to keep it short. As you can see, I'm quite passionate about this, and I'm delighted to be involved on various levels. I think the meaningful tourism game invites everyone to consider ways of dealing with our differences, but constructively. I always say, when I talk about relationships, if we are fighting about something, we should not ask, what are we fighting about? But what are we fighting for? And I want to leave you with this, because I believe well-being, we should be looking at individual well-being, relational well-being, and collective well-being. That's what the tourism game, meaningful tourism game, I believe has potential to foster, because it fosters empathy. And we are lacking empathy in our society. Research clearly shows that. Empathy has gone down, emotional intelligence has gone down, and narcissism, Machiavellianism has gone up. So here we are as a tourism industry to bring people together and create some kind of harmony. Let's do our best. I'm certainly looking forward to be part of this. Thank you, Wolfgang.
Thank you so much, and for this really good last words and summary. And yes, of course, I think this word has not been used in the webinar, so I will use it. Without peace, nothing is possible. And
I
this
left
is,
it up to you to say that. I wasn't going to go there.
Thank
That
you
is
so
obviously my
much.
forte.
Thank you so much. But this is, of course, and we have been mentioning participants from two parts of the world, among other parts where this is dearly needed and wished for. And of course, this is what we have been saying. This is where we have to make sure that we are seen as a force supporting understanding, relational empathy, and peace. And that is where we have to go to, and there hopefully our efforts at the Meaningful Tourism Center can play some role in that. So with that, again, thank you all the speakers. Thank you all the participants for being with us. As I said, the recording of this webinar can be found from tomorrow at the institutetourism.com. And so let us just finish by showing you quickly, if you can help me with that, showing quickly that we have a new website which has been developed here by some people in Nepal, and with the help also of the two ladies working with me here, Prakita and Sveta, and where this is now finished, and you can have a look for yourself. So, and I just want to share this with you, and so how it looks like. This is how it looks like. So as you can see, I told you at the beginning, maybe remember that so the Meaningful Tourism Center actually has two parts. One of them is connected to what I've been doing for many years, talking about China and the Chinese outbound tourism. And one part is about meaningful tourism. And you can see this is the homepage, the landing page, and the address is meaningfultourismcenter.org. And then you will always find information about the latest news and activities. And then on the left-hand side, if you click here, then this will lead to meaningful tourism. And you can see also what we have discussed today. There's also the offline training, the Meaningful Transformational Game Workshop. And if you click here, then you will find there's a little form, and you fill out this form, then you get a brochure with more information, more details about the Meaningful Tourism Transformational Game Workshop, and hopefully for some of you that will be useful to use that and to have the experience yourself, or for the people you're working with to do this training. And of course, there will be other aspects. So we have been briefly mentioning green housing. It's also a part of Meaningful Tourism, and of course, we will talk about events and so on. So this is online from today, and the old website ChinaOutbound.com, where we had put this temporarily, will be moving to here. And with this, I want to finish the workshop. And again, a big thank you to Reza Soltani and the Institute for Tourism for helping us to have a technically 100% working webinar. So we have been having speakers from different continents. We have been participants from different continents, but it seems from what I have seen, there were no technical glitches at all. That's very good. And of course, I can mention that, of course, also some of the trainers we were not presenting today, like just mentioned Faisal, for instance, and also Vishal, they were also here. And so they are all will be happy to work for you in their respective countries. And I can already say that we will have another webinar for sure in the beginning of May, the latest. And if you have any further questions, drop us a line, look at our website, download the brochure. And with this, I think we come to an end. And I say again, thanks for everybody. And I wish that we all, in these times where you almost don't dare to watch the news anymore, of all the bad things happening, that we will try our best to get some positive developments in the world. Thank you so much, and all of you have a good day or a good evening. And it's only a few days ago the Chinese Year of the Wood Snake has started. So for those in Asia especially, have a wonderful and peaceful Wood Snake year as well. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you so much, Professor Wolfgang. It was a great webinar, and congratulations and
Thank
good
you,
luck
Prof.
with your new project. So we came to the end. If there are any other questions or remarks, please go ahead. Otherwise, we will end this session.
Very
Thank you.
cool. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And if you have questions, drop us a line. We are happy to go into a one-to-one dialogue with everybody. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you. Thank you. Bye.
the recording
Thank
from
you.
tomorrow
Bye.
is on the website. Bye-bye.
Bye.